Thank you for pressing start on episode 94 of Underplayed, KZUM's indie video game podcast. Today, we have two secret games, a discussion with our special guest, Jenny Olander, and a review of our featured game, Coffee Talk. Here on Underplayed, we review indie games of all kinds, the games with small budgets but big hearts, the lesser-known experiences with imaginative ideas. I'm Bo Poe, and I have a co-host. What's better than that? He's shaking his cake in Human Fall Flat, powering his radio with the turn of a crank, and playing through games till the backlog is blank. It's the 1,000 times resistant, Google form insistent, funky member of the Bomb Rush crew, DiscoCola. How do you do?
I dropped my lunch in the parking lot, and I am so furious. I need a little of whatever Gala had, or I'm gonna break something. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. My werewolf about to enter his fury.
Yes! Nailed it. We didn't plan that.
Synergy. What were those ingredients for Gala Hot again? Those are references to our featured game, Coffee Talk. And we have a very special guest today. We have Jenny Olander of KZUM's Lavender Hill, an LGBTQ plus news, views, and interviews program on KZUM, one of our talk shows. And it's actually my first time meeting Jenny. I haven't met Jenny before, but you've worked with Jenny quite a bit.
Yeah. I went through some training with Jenny, and I've mentioned this in a previous episode, but just as part of the training, I happened to passively mention some indie games that I enjoyed, and her eyes lit up, and I was like, oh, that's an indie game fan right there. And so I took the opportunity to, the rare opportunity to invite another KZUM family member to the podcast.
I'm so psyched. It's a new kind of guest for us, with someone being so local and also so tied to KZUM. And Jenny is not just going to be on this episode. She's also going to be our special guest for the next episode, where we'll review Coffee Talk episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. So you can enjoy Jenny in 2 episodes this season. And we're just very honored to have Jenny on a little bit later. Let's see. At the top here, do you have anything to share? I guess we didn't go over this.
Yeah, sure. So did I text you yesterday or 2 days ago now? I got the platinum in Ukulele and the Impossible Lair.
Oh!
I don't need the ding for this one because it was just like this season, but
what? Just because it was in the same season? I think we've given the sound.
But if we would have gotten the platinum within the episode itself, it would have just been part of the episode. It's just like, yeah, I got the platinum. I finished the game.
Hang on. Just tell me more about the platinum.
So I think where we last left our heroes on Dragon Ball Z, in the Impossible Lair, I had beaten the game. I got all 48 Bs or whatever, so I needed to get all the Twit coins, because you need to get all 200 of them or whatever. You needed to get a 4th tonic slot, which is tied to getting all the Twit coins, and then you needed to pay for all of the tonics. Because I think by the time we recorded the episode, I had acquired all the tonics. Maybe I went back and acquired the tonics at least soon after. So anyways, the last thing that I did was grind for quills to pay for all the tonics, which was Did
you equip any tonics to help boost your multiplication? Did that help?
I wouldn't have done it if I couldn't do that. So
wow. Yeah.
100%.
It's many thousands of quills you have to just farm, basically.
Yeah. And it's the most tedious part of the whole thing, because I still liked looking for most of the Twit coins, but grinding for tonics I didn't even care about in the first place was a bit of a drag. But I did look up a way to do it quickly on YouTube and just followed that tutorial and did it myself. Cool.
I'd say getting all the tonics and the Twit coins, that gets you like 90% of the way to the platinum. That's like the shorthand version of explaining what you have to do.
Yeah. So I would say to people that are looking to 100% this game, take the time to invest in Quill Magnet for sure. That is a very important one. It's worth the 1,500 quills. Do it as early as possible. Which will keep you
from losing quills that just fall into the abyss or that disappear.
As long as you're close to them, they'll float toward you. And I don't know why I didn't invest in it sooner. I should have, but
I don't know that I'll ever get the 100% in that game.
Honestly, if you're not like itching to get hundreds on your trophy list anymore, it's not worth it. It's not fun.
And I've talked about this previously, but like I'm no longer a trophy guy. I mean, my secret game today, I played it on Steam, but I did go in a little bit after I rolled credits and I did clean up the 100% because it was so easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happy to do it. Spoilers for my thoughts a little bit, but yeah. So there are exceptions.
Yeah. I did not enjoy. This is the kind of game that you do tend to 100%, but it just wasn't. The tonics part of it was not fun.
Okay.
I liked the Twit coins. That's about it.
Well, that's what you get.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That wasn't quite right,
it was like
it?
a little tiny bee buzz. There.
Oh.
That's the beehive.
There we go. You're smacking that beehive and it makes that sound. I did want to share a little personal update, and this is something that you'll hear on an episode of No Small Games very soon, but I did want to give a personal update that previous guest of the show and a frequent collaborator and a very dear friend of ours, Emily, will be living with me.
Yeah.
We talked about this and we decided we did want to mention it on our programs, and she and I are partners. So that'll be happening actually as we sit down. She's moving in tomorrow, but we're both very excited. So just wanted to give that update. If it comes up in conversation, I wanted to put it out there.
Yeah.
So.
And, just to like reiterate, how much of a deal that is, like she's coming from Spain and we are not in Spain.
Right. We are pretty far from Spain.
Yeah.
It is multiple thousands of miles. So yes, we're wishing her well, wishing her luck. And so far she's doing really well. And just wanted to give that update. We're going to move on. We're going to have our secret games. We're going to talk to Jenny. We're going to feature Coffee Talk. Before we do, there are a few very easy ways to support Underplayed. They cost nothing. They take almost no time at all, and we would really appreciate you doing these things for us if you haven't already. 1, please give us a follow and a 5-star rating on the podcast platform you're listening to this on. It would make us appear more consistently for you and for others. 2, you can follow us across social media using the links in our show notes. And 3, sharing our podcast by reposting our stuff on social media and telling your indie game loving friends about us means the world. And as always, we love you. Thank you so much for listening. It's time for our secret games.
The secret games, that you're playing. The secret games, the secret games.
Secret Games is our segment where we each reveal a game we've been playing recently and we're going to review it. But I don't know which game Disco's picking for this episode. He doesn't know what I've picked to play as a secret game this episode. So we will start with you, DiscoCola. What indie game have you played for episode 94 of Underplayed?
My secret game is a 2023 artful visual novel from Studio Dragnet and a Japanese studio written in kanji that I can't read, and it was published by Waku Waku Games. This game is called Enjoy the Diner.
Enjoy the Diner. I am aware of this game. I have not played it, but I've watched our friend Cater Blossom stream it. It was at least 2 years ago, I want to say, but it was a riot. Not necessarily by design, but I remember Kate had a lot of fun with this one.
I was going to say, it's like, I wouldn't consider it immediately hilarious, but it is absurd, maybe.
Right.
So from Steam, it says, why not enjoy the diner? The moon is as full as it'll ever be, and there's even a drink fountain. And
it's enough for me.
Yeah, I don't need more of a pitch. Like eternity, moon, diner, drink fountain. So why not? Why not enjoy the diner? Cue the Bilbo Baggins meme or whatever, where he's like, why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I?
Why shouldn't I
enjoy
the diner? I was like, I was thinking of the moment where he freaks out at Frodo.
Oh, yeah.
And CG takes over his face and he's like, ah! I was like,
Yeah.
is that what you mean? Oh, no. The other Bilbo moment. Got
A
it.
couple minutes before that.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as I remember, the inciting incident of Enjoy the Diner is that we are studying late at night for what? Don't worry about it. Just play the game. You'll find out. And we need a break or something. And so we head out looking for something to help us recharge. And that's when we happen upon Moon Palace, a diner that we didn't even know was open so late. And so while waiting for our order of soda and ice cream, which we are assured has absolutely no shrimp in it, you'll know when you play the game.
What?
We suddenly find that our order is not arriving and certain important diner fixtures are suddenly missing, like menus and creamer and the waitress, just to name a few. And we are somewhere suddenly unusual, and we are not alone. From here, we will speak with various other diner patrons to learn more about Moon Palace, as well as their individual histories, and decide how we might spend what seems to be an inescapable, immortal eternity with free refills.
Sounds very surrealist, very experimental already.
Yeah, absolutely. That surrealist is a word used very frequently online for this game. Our cast of characters is quite limited and includes some of the strangest names I've encountered in video games. It almost kind of makes me want to go back to like Cult of the Lamb just to add these characters to my immortal roster. But the first one I met was King Railroad Spike, someone that ruled. No, they ruled a kingdom called Fork and Spoon, but suddenly found themselves in Moon Palace. Then there's Glass Pan, a lonely woman that takes full advantage of the alcohol refills. And then there's, I'm going to pronounce it, Chenis, an awkward and anxious woman that is so afraid of the void outside of Moon Palace that she keeps herself locked in a room and speaks from behind a locked door.
Okay, I think I remember Chenis because I remember chat having a lot of fun with that in Kate's stream. Again, this is a memory of something that happened a long time ago. But yeah.
And then lastly, there's Kelonika, a young analytical man that I think worked at like a university bookstore or something. He worked with books in some capacity.
Okay.
And that's really all I want to share for setup, because like early spoilers, this game kind of blew me away and took me by surprise and went a lot of different places.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's one of those experience games. You got to play it to know what's going on.
Yeah, I really want you to try it out. So I don't want to ruin everything for you. As far as things I like about Enjoy the Diner, I think this art direction is superb. I wasn't like totally on board with it when I picked it pre-season as a secret game, but having played it now, I'm absolutely in love. Like, it's all pixel art, but it's kind of like it started as pen drawings on a page. And I've always had this innate love of pen drawing as well. There's something just like bold and confident about using pen for drawing something so important. But then they made this, because if you think about like drawing characters, they'll always start with the circle and then they'll draw the cross on the circle to be like, here's where you put all the facial. You can't do that with a pen because you can't erase those like guidance lines. So they did this pen thing, and then they made the artistic choice to ensure that the only colors we see are yellow, black, blue, and white. And there's like no shading or hues or anything. It's just purely 4 colors, and it stands out artistically as something I've never really seen before. Like I've seen similar stuff, but never like these colors and in this style. So it's just really unique art style in my opinion. I think the music's actually really good. I could see someone finding it jarring because it's, I won't really call it chiptune. It might technically be 8-bit, but it's not quite as sophisticated as 8-bit music can sound. It's like, it's not the moon theme from NES DuckTales or anything, but it's better than like the Atari 2600 was capable of. So if there's 4-bit music, I'd say that's where this game lives. But if you still find that too jarring, which I would understand, it seems like you can turn on piano versions of every song in the menu somewhere. But I don't know if that's just something you unlock at the end. But if that's the case, that's a nice feature for people that don't enjoy the music. But I do enjoy the music as it is because it adds to this eerie nature of the Moon Palace on top of like the sound effects too, which are kind of strange also. So I just really love the sound design in this game too. Like I mentioned, the game goes places and I pretty much never see it coming. And some of it is a bit ridiculous for the sake of being unpredictable. But something about the game allows our suspension of disbelief to kind of get to that point more gradually rather than just like, boom, here's this like really bizarre thing out of nowhere.
It's not like a Doki Doki Literature Club moment where things just suddenly hit the fan.
Right.
It's slowly building.
Right. Well, and I'm trying to think of a good example, but it's not like all of a sudden, a monster popped out of the closet and it's like, oh, guess what? We were in hell the whole time.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's more gradual. You learn things slowly and then it's like, oh, we're already in this strange place. So it makes sense that maybe this small thing could also be happening. And then it's like, maybe this small thing also means this, and it's tied to the Moon Palace in this way. So yeah, really cool stuff happening in the story, in my opinion. At the very least, I like every single character. If I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be Glasspan for her proclivity toward alcohol, her loneliness, and her responses to questions, or our character. I found her to be the most relatable, but like, make no mistake, I do like all of them and only grow to love them more as our conversations roll on. And that might be a good segue into my next compliment, is that this game just kind of gripped me.
Wow.
I turned it on one night and I don't know, I must not have been in the mood to read at all because I like turned it off after 4 minutes. But then I turned it on for my second play session. And then from the moment I tried all of the various drinks at the drink fountain, I was just ready for this bizarre adventure. Like nothing says to me like, hey, Disco, heard you're a weird little freak, like an overly carbonated beverage that, quote, tastes meaty and is called penguin soda. So I'm like, okay, you got me. I'm in. I'm going to drink penguin soda after every conversation. I didn't do that, but
I try to remind you you're a weird little freak all the time, and I guess it's not enough. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
You need to enjoy the diner.
I need
to really seal the deal.
You need to like add soda to that compliment. Then it'll sink in.
Okay. I'll take note for next time.
Buy me a birch beer and then it'll make sense. As far as things that I don't like, there are multiple endings to the game, and by the absolutely bizarre nature of the game, I don't 100% know that I could have figured out a couple of the steps to get us to that final finish line. Because it's kind of, the endings are kind of like incremental. You have to reach this first ending in order to reach the second ending, and then you can go on to reach this third ending.
Okay, that makes sense.
As good as the music is, I don't totally understand what triggers which of the few songs that the game has. And we spend a not insignificant amount of time with no music at all. And that almost makes the moments where music pops in seem more significant. But as far as I could tell, I'm not actually onto anything especially revealing, because the music will usually pop in as you visit a new character, if it pops in at all. And so I'm left confused, like when and why music decides to show up. What's the reason?
I kind of remember this. I remember a theme that would repeat almost comically, and I wasn't sure if the game was playing it for laughs, but it made Kate laugh when she played it. It was like this boop 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 boop. Does that song ring a bell?
There is one moment in the game where I can think of a song that sounds like that, but if it's the same moment, like it only plays in that one moment.
I think it was like a lockbox or a password combination thing.
And that is played for laughs because of how the lockbox unlocks.
Okay.
So I won't say.
And
more
this
than
is
that.
me not necessarily watching every moment, captive. So I just remember being there for that moment and just being completely confused. And it was funny.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure if it was intended.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds
that
like
moment's pretty funny.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that there's a lot of comedy in this game necessarily, but that moment is pretty funny. And then this isn't necessarily a complaint for me, but I'm sure it will be for others. the ultimate twist for some will maybe seem to come out of nowhere. And I don't think it's that egregious, but I do seem to recall one of the characters, it might have been Glasspan, talking about this time she read a book where she mentioned shock value twists essentially and how it can ruin a story. So when I heard her say that, I felt that this was a moment of like self-awareness where they tried to like lessen the blow for something that might be coming later. And like I get doing that. I get putting that into the story so it like primes your awareness of like there's something that's really bizarre coming up and I might think it's shock value for shock value. I didn't think it was all that shocking or like shock value's sake shock value. I don't know. I guess I would have preferred the commitment to, no, this is a weird game and we're going to do this weird thing with the story. It's not a big complaint, and I might be reading too much into this small dialogue moment with Glasspan, but that's how I took it. Because I think that this experience is really cool, and I want them to just commit to it.
Yeah.
Man. It's bizarre and
Own it.
awesome, and you have an art direction and sound design that sets the stage for something weird. So anyways, overall, once I did finally start the game and press forward, I found myself unable to put this game down. I played for over 3 hours straight one night.
Wow.
And for context, my usual play sessions are like 90 minutes if I'm willing to stay up. And I just, that is all on top of like, I still don't like to read. But like a fish, I was hooked. I wanted to bring up every single topic I could with every single character in this game. And I had a trip in many senses of the word. It is ultimately a game where I still have to do a lot of reading and I'm practically illiterate, but that didn't matter in this case. As such, I give Enjoy the Diner an 8.5 out of 10.
That's great. I was aware of this. I just didn't have a full sense of what it was about, even though I did see some of it because it is that abstract and strange. And I don't know if I want to ask any more questions on this one just because I want to preserve what's special about it, I think, and I think anything that I would ask about would be getting at some of those spoilers. I don't want to sully this experience before I'm able to do it myself. So I guess like how long would you expect the average person to take to finish this?
Depends on how many of the endings you care to see.
Okay.
I don't think you could walk away from the first ending satisfied, but I still enjoyed the other two endings, and especially the tasks I had to do to get there.
Okay.
Is what I enjoyed most about that.
Cool.
So I think I played it for 4 hours. It's a real short experience.
Nice.
And I really want to know someday if you like it.
Okay, I will put it on my list. I think it is on my wish list on Steam. So that's the first step, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then maybe it gets a sale. Maybe my co-host reviews it. Then I buy it.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
Then I play it. So, okay. Where can you play it?
You can play Enjoy the Diner on PC, Nintendo Switch, which is where I played it. And according to this, web browser?
Huh?
Didn't look into that.
Huh.
But
I don't remember having that one before.
Yeah, so maybe there's a browser version out there, which like I guess it's suited for, but I'd be surprised if it's like, is it free? I don't know.
Maybe you can play it within itch or something. Yeah. But I regret not asking where can you enjoy the diner?
In the Moon Palace. Dang it.
It is time for My Secret Game. My Secret Game, also released in the year 2023. It is also arguably an adventure game. It is also surrealist and strange. My Secret Game is called Birth.
That's it? That's the end of the title?
That it's called Birth.
I've never heard of this.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm very excited to share about it with you then. So Birth is a 2023 point-and-click puzzle game. It was developed and published by Madison Carr. The game synopsis from the Steam storefront reads, quote, "You are alone. You will build a creature, a partner, a wet, warm heart, a collection of bones," end quote.
I don't like the words wet and warm next to each other in pretty much any circumstance.
Yeah, it was a little upsetting when I first read it too. But this game opens with text in a journal that reads, "Living in crowded cities makes me feel lonely. I will build a body, a creature, a collection of bones, a friend, a partner, a wet, warm heart."
That sounds like an Alanis Morissette song or something.
And maybe inspired by some lyrics out there somewhere. But so what you do in this game is you point and click through a series of buildings on a city street where you live. It's places like an art studio, a laundromat, a grocery store, a post office, some living spaces, and more. And in each location, you're solving a small series of puzzles that has you matching shapes and colors. Sometimes you have to assemble broken things. Sometimes you just use your mouse to declutter spaces to find key items. And after solving all the little puzzles of a room, you receive a bone or an organ that will be used to construct a body to live with you. So this outside street is lined with these buildings you can click into, and you have a lot of freedom about what order you can go into the buildings in. So you might choose to go into the art studio first. I might choose to go into the laundromat first. It doesn't, at a certain point, it's kind of just, your choice. And you can also find some hidden coins out on the street that let you see additional scenes in the world, but they're very optional. And this game has a very particular surrealist aesthetic going on. All the people and creatures of the world are decayed bodies, but the particular character design for these creatures is such that everyone has these hollow eye holes and these beak-shaped skulls.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see that on like humanoid creatures. You'll also see it on rodent-like creatures and everything in between. Everything has this most things, I should say, have this beak and hollow eyes aesthetic. And then sometimes rotting flesh or just body parts that are slightly detached from the rest of the body.
Okay.
I'd say it's very light body horror visuals. It feels like the imagination of a really creative taxidermist, just a taxidermist's fever dream or something like that. And your goal is to solve all the puzzles of the buildings and rooms, collect all the bones and organs, and construct a companion. That's what you're doing in this game.
All right.
It is a reflection on loneliness. It is a game that's very upfront about what you're doing. I'd say this is where this game kind of differs from games like Enjoy the Diner, where it is a fantastical world, but is very straightforward about what you're doing. You know what you're doing. There's not any sort of catch. There's not another shoe that drops. It's it's this, but you're in this world. So what I liked about Birth is the personality and the themes of the game. It's about loneliness, but it's also about new beginnings to me. And that hit really well for me in this time. I just think this was a great time for me to play this. The aesthetic is unique and inspired. I love this weird biology. If you look into this game, I don't know if it's immediately apparent, but there are lots of insects in this game. I think you would dig that. You're always unsure of what you'll see next. You don't really know what puzzle is going to present itself and in what format it's going to play out in. The puzzles are very well designed. Some of them require thinking and connecting dots, but I also never got stuck for more than 30 seconds. So I was just constantly seeing new stuff in this game, feeling really accomplished, feeling really smart. There are other puzzles mixed in that actually aren't that puzzly. Sometimes you're just moving objects out of the way. You see the thing you need and you just need to, wiggle your mouse or click and drag things to clear the space. And so it's this little moment where I guess it's like a little palate cleanser. You're not doing a puzzle anymore. For a moment, you're just decluttering a space or just putting one piece that obviously goes in this missing spot in the missing spot, and you click it into place and it just feels really nice. So each room and building is only taking me 5 to 10 minutes. And you do that I don't know how many bones and organs there are, but it feels like upwards of 20 maybe. So it just feels like a breeze all the way through. I think this game uses music really cleverly too. Every time you go into a building or a room, you hear this subdued version of a classical piece of music you might have heard before. So you might hear Claire de Lune in a area, and it's not a very triumphant version of it. It's like muted kind of, but you recognize what song it is, and it's like pleasant. It's lovely, and it's sort of contrasting against the macabre nature of these bodies and this decay, right? So when you do all the puzzles in a room and you get the body part, another layer of instrumentation kicks in. Like you'll hear a woodwind instrument or a horn instrument now just added into the music. And that's a little cue to you that you've done everything in that room or that building.
Cool.
The game never says like, art studio completed. It just, you got the organ and the music started playing, and you can back out to the street now. And so I just like that. I just think that's so clever and so simple. I do have dislikes for Birth. I don't think any of them are huge dislikes, because I really did like this game. I just kind of wish there was, pun intended, a bit more meat on this bone. It's not the longest experience in the world, so the impact it makes on you might heavily depend on your state of mind, the particular night you choose to play it. I think most people will just play this in one sitting. And sometimes it just feels a little too light or passive on the interactivity or the difficulty for my taste. So it just feels like I'm sometimes just not doing a whole lot as the player, but I am just constantly moving through, and I just feel a great sense of progression there. So I think Birth is a great mixture of sort of the disturbing and the cozy. It has this gameplay and aesthetic and themes intersection that feels like a cross between Rusty Lake Hotel and Florence to me. And I never thought those games could be put into a concoction, but if you did, I think you would get Birth. You would give birth to Birth, right? And I think I prefer Birth to both of those games. I found it resonant. I found it a breeze to play in one sitting. I didn't feel the time pass. I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10.
Heckers, baby.
And it's playable on PC, Mac, Switch, and Xbox One.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I have too many questions. I'm noticing that in this trailer, as this person is like scrolling their mouse across the screen, there are a lot of things that you can click on, it seems, or a lot of things that animate as you hover over them. How much of that actually matters? Like, is everything have significance as you click on it?
It might not matter as much as it appears. When you're in a room, I notice things will slightly vibrate, or they'll definitely animate when you mouse over them, like telling you that you can click on this. Interactive things will come to life as you move your cursor over them. But if you're clicking on like a collection of jars, all the jars might kind of come to life. But when you click on the jars, you might only be interacting with one or two of the jars sometimes. So you don't always interact with every single little piece. And it becomes very clear about what's clickable, what's not. So I'd say that's one major way it differs from Rusty Lake Hotel, where Rusty Lake Hotel is a game where you're in these rooms. They kind of feel like escape rooms. Sometimes you click on things not knowing if it's clickable, but you see like a close-up of a guy's nose. And so you just wonder like, oh, is there something in his nose? And you click on his nose and something comes out of his nose. But his nose wasn't wiggling when you moved your cursor over it.
Right.
And so it's just, you're test clicking a ton in Rusty Lake Hotel. In Birth, you immediately know just from visual feedback what is clickable and what's not.
Okay.
So I wasn't doing all this like errant clicking, trying to figure out where to go, which was nice.
The only other things I'll say is that other games I'm reminded of are, I think mostly for the color palette, since you've...
Oh, When the Past Was Around?
When the Past Was Around.
I'd say add that into the concoction. It feels like When the Past Was Around meets Florence meets Rusty Lake Hotel, and you get Birth.
And I'm also... this is going to be a fun one. I'm thinking of Later Alligator, too, as I'm watching this.
Oh, interesting.
But that's all I've got.
Yeah, you're like exploring a city.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I guess I do.
You're doing
kinda-
like kind of little mini games or little tiny puzzles or whatever.
You are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you aren't reading a lot in this game. You just get that intro text and then you get the credits. There's not text you're really reading. You do read numbers here and there,
Mhm.
and you have to input numbers into like little combinations and things, but it's really not that text heavy. There is a note at the end of the game. After the credits roll, it says, "Thank you for taking a small amount of your allotted time on this earth to play this game."
Aw.
I think
That
of,
is-
of any game to fittingly say those words in that way, I think it makes sense for Birth.
Perfect.
Yeah. So it's cool. I liked it a lot. And I recommend it to you. I think you would enjoy this.
I intend to. This is going to be like a someday game, but yeah, I intend to play it someday. Whether or not it's my jealous game or not, it's too early to tell. But
Yeah. I'd love to hear your reaction to it for sure. All right. So those are our secret games. Enjoy the Diner and Birth. Let's move on to our discussion with Jenny Olander, this episode's special guest. Our guest is a broadcaster heard on the air and is one of the illustrious Lavender Hill pair, advocating for the communities of LGBTQ+ and letting you know when you should make a fuss. She's the KZUM programmer who's starting the clamor. We're filled with enamor for Jenny Olander. How's it going? Stumbling into the studio.
Ow. I'm okay.
Welcome.
Hello.
how's it
That
going?
was a fun little poem. I didn't know that was going to happen.
We do that for our guests
Yeah.
to welcome you on.
I love how my general chaotic and riled up energy is captured within that poem a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like just say firebrand in so many words.
I can say with a surety that has never happened before with a guest. So that was very special. Thank you.
I will say you'll be the first returning guest,
Ooh.
and you'll be returning exactly one episode from now. So I don't know if you'll get that rhyme again necessarily, but I don't know what
I'm trying to decide because I really like what I came up with, so I might just reuse it, but we'll see. We'll see what strikes me.
Well, that was really, really nice of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we invited you here.
Yeah.
It's not common for us to find not only other gamers at KZUM, just
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
Our age skews a particular way
Mhm.
here on the programmer side. Finding not only gamers is hard, but additionally, when I was working with you on some training, I found out that you seem to have a certain affinity for indie games in particular.
Yeah, I do. That I was thinking about it, like why that? And the reason I think that is because when I was younger and didn't have a job, they were cheap. They were fairly cheap, and I didn't have to spend much money because the average indie game, especially like a couple of years ago, was like $20.
Yeah.
Still kind of is. Now some of them are like 20 or 30 or $40, depending on like the size of and scope of the thing. So
Right.
but I don't know. I've just played a lot of them for a long time. One of my first like bigger games that I played was Minecraft, which kind of has an indie feel even now.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I just one of the first other indie games that I played when I was very young was Owlboy. If you've heard that one
We've
before.
both played it, and,
Yeah.
and Disco has talked about it on the show.
Yeah, it was featured in season 6 or 7, maybe.
What was
So-
it? Quick, what was your take on it? I gotta know if I gotta know what the adults think of my game. It's not my game. I didn't make it, but
You had me wondering there for a second.
I didn't make nothing. No.
No.
I do follow D-Pad Studio a little bit, but they're very inactive on socials.
Yeah, I think overall it was really positive, just in general. I don't recall exactly what I said in the episode, but I think it's still in my top 100 indies.
Okay.
And I wasn't like super like in love with it until the very end sequence after
Yeah.
the credits.
Yeah.
Not after the credits, but like right before the credits.
Yeah. Owlboy was one of the first ones that I got into, and then like I've played a lot of Celeste.
Nice.
Celeste is another just like just a gem. It's incredible, and I've just played a whole bunch of indie games around. One that was recommended to me a little while ago was the one of this show or this episode, Coffee Talk.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of fell in love with it immediately. I used to be, and still kind of am, a live streamer. I used to like stream games. I used to speedrun Celeste, and then after I finished with the speedrun, after like 45 minutes, 50 minutes, I would then jump into like the game of the week, and then I would like play that for a bit. And I have always, in visual novel type games, liked doing voices. I do the voices for all the characters.
So you have an audience.
I
in real
usually
time,
very small.
and you could just read it in your voice, but you're giving
But that's not
personality.
fun.
Yeah, you're giving personality to each of the characters. They kind of are asking for it. Like,
Yeah.
it really makes sense.
Your favorite thing to do in streaming is the thing that I avoid the most if I can
Yeah.
help it. Yeah.
I
What
also
do you
like
mean?
doing that
Doing
during streaming.
voices?
Just like that many. It's just like I can't keep it straight.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I like to think that I have a pretty wide range, but I don't know. It might not be as wide as I like to think it is.
The more you do it, the more you develop those voices, though.
That's true. It is true. I can't. Those characters. It's been a while since I've actually since I did my first playthrough, so I don't remember what voices I gave to all the characters. I think between Officer Georgie and why can't I remember the werewolf's name?
Oh,
Gala.
Gala, yes. Between Georgie and Gala, I think I both gave them like the gruff kind of police officer, like New Yorkie man, except they're in Seattle. I think after a while I gave Gala a little bit of like a more noble kind of the gentle giant kind of voice.
yeah, that sounds fitting.
That's what I thought, especially
that.
considering his whole deal that he's a friggin' hospital intake worker. Like it's cool.
But yeah, we invited you here just because we
I got sidetracked
No,
immediately.
you're good. We invited you here because like the pickings
fun.
from KZUM are pretty scant, so it's a pretty unique opportunity to have someone on that actually is like involved with KZUM. So I want you to tell us a little bit more about your involvement with KZUM and in particular Lavender Hill and the mission of the show.
So my involvement is funny, as you're well aware.
I don't think I know this.
You don't know the
necessarily
lore?
as far as like how you got started.
So I only officially became a programmer for KZUM near the end of last summer. Beginning of fall 2025, I think, thereabouts.
Something like that.
Something like that. I remember it being hot, but I had been weekly on Lavender Hill for about 2 years.
Wow.
Beforehand. What happened is that I used to work when I was in college at UNL. I got a job at a call center doing like a health surveys for the university, and several people there were like, "Oh, you have a pretty good voice. You're very ecstatic. You're very enthusiastic. You should go check out KZUM. They always got funny people on there." I'm like, okay. Interesting. And I just kind of like
Funny.
put that
KZUM, we're funny.
kind of funny. We're like characters, like
Yeah,
it's,
sure.
it's
Yeah.
KZUM's known for being a little bit
Oh
weird.
yeah,
That's great.
There have been comedy shows, really fun characters on like, people who do personas and things. Yes.
So I just kind of like put that in the back of my brain. And then that year I went to Pride, where I met my now co-host, Phil. I was like, oh, that's the KZUM thing. That's what my coworkers told me about. I was like, I'd be told that I'd be good. Is there some way that I can do it? She's like, yeah, send me an email. And then I sent Phil an email and went to the studio and made a good impression on some listeners and on him. And I just kind of kept showing up every week. And eventually I'm just a programmer now.
And Phil was like, you need to be on the show for 2 years before quite the audition process.
No, it wasn't even like that. It's just that part of the reason that I didn't do it sooner is because I was unsure of like what my future in Lincoln, Nebraska was going to be. Because I'm like, I know I'm going to graduate. I know that I don't know if I'm going to be staying in town because I graduated as an engineer. I could go anywhere. I ended up staying in town. And then I stuck around for a bit waiting for the next Programmers Academy. And then the Programmers Academy came up. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't have a job yet. I'm still freaking out. And then I got a job, stayed in Lincoln. And then the next Programmer Academy was the one that I participated in. And I'm going to be here for at least a couple more years. Or at least a year I'll be here for at least one more year.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Very cool. So Jenny, now that you are a consistent KZUM programmer, you're on the website, right?
They
You're
put
official.
my name. They put my name on the website before I was even an official host.
Love that.
It was very funny.
Love that. And now that you are a KZUM programmer, what has the station added to your life? What does it mean to be part of the KZUM group of programmers and volunteers?
It really shows that, so when I moved to Lincoln, it kind of felt like small city with nothing going on. But after being involved in KZUM and like getting more people involved with KZUM, it really shows that no, there is like a community here. Like Lincoln still has that kind of small town feel, but there's people from all sides of the city kind of coming into KZUM to share various musical interests or various like insights and various things here and there. It's kind of like a lot of people just casually know what KZUM is. And the fact that that's like KZUM's kind of a centerpiece of the Lincoln community is wonderful. And to be a part of that, to be able to contribute to that and to like see the KZUM letters on like places in town that I think are cool, it's great. Like if I walk into Mana Games and they just have at the back of their store prominently KZUM and I'm like, that's awesome. And they sometimes have it playing. Not always because, you know, sometimes like the genre shifts pretty drastically, but it's pretty good. It's really cool to see the community built around this little radio station.
Yes, we love Mana Games. They're actually good friends of ours. Okay, so we've mentioned Lavender Hill. That is the LGBTQ plus music and issues program at
News,
KZUM.
views, and interviews.
Yes.
Not so much interviews these days. Mostly news and some views. Mostly a lot of views.
Yeah. A lot of news being made out there too, for better or worse, unfortunately. But from your perspective, keeping that in mind, how does media, including radio, but also video games or any other medium, currently best reach members of the LGBTQ plus community?
I mean, there's two perspectives I could give on this. One of which is that it's very good to see yourself in characters. It's very good to see yourself in media for a lot of different reasons. And for like a lot of games to feature like queer characters to some degree, what be they like trans, be they like gay, straight, or even straight, like sometimes like just very like there's a lot of straight people who sometimes feel bullied because they are bullied because they're kind of queer, but they're still straight, and having that kind of fall under the umbrella and then represented in media is good. But from the other perspective, like for somebody who is not as familiar with queer people or queer issues, seeing those characters in games and media and movies and shows and seeing them just be people. Just they're people, they have certain needs, they act in certain ways, which are usually very similar to most people. And to have that representation both from like for queer people to see themselves and for just other people like people who are not part of the community to see that and know what it is, it's pretty great.
What do you think could be done to maybe make that better?
That's a weird question. I think in the land of video games specifically, I think it's very good right now. Maybe not in like the big AAA space, but in the indie space, extremely gay. The indie space is extremely gay. Like some big, I mean, we talked about them a little bit earlier, but it's like Celeste is like, it's not explicitly a story about a trans girl, but when the DLC came out, it was. And also, it definitely is a story about a trans girl. A lot of trans girls have realized they're trans after playing that game. Like another big one that came out that won some game awards this year, Hades 2. Like, everybody in that game is freaking queer. Everyone. Like, Malinois is... Zagreus especially is very queer. Also plays into some Greek stereotypes. It's very funny. I don't know. The thing about the games industry, I mean, things can be improved for sure, but the big thing is that the big publishers and sometimes even legislative bodies are saying like, gay people, yucky. Gay people, icky, gross. We want them out of our media. Also, free speech. Get rid of gay people. And that rhetoric has seemed to work on a lot of people. So whenever like a prominent gay or trans character is in like a larger video game that gets prominence, there's a massive freak out about it, and then no one cares anymore, which I think is trending in the right direction.
One tragic thing that we've seen in the past year, I don't know if you've heard a lot about this, but a lot of queer games get delisted from storefronts or censored.
Right, yes, the whole itch.io situation.
Right,
yes,
it's even extended to Steam, I believe, too.
Steam, yeah, that's a lot more of a legislative issue than a publisher one.
Because that was going after like payment processors.
Yes, that was that specific one. There was a special interest group. I forget their name. I don't care. They are very much against the propagation of queer and broadly like NSFW and sexual content. Those are not the same,
Right.
but this group is conflating
They're
them.
equating
Yes.
them, yes.
They are very interested in like removing that stuff. And instead of targeting those storefronts directly, they said, hey, payment processors, these companies who are using your payment processing services are promoting pornography. They're promoting deviancy. That is bad for your business and you should stop. And then these payment processors went, okay. And then just said, if you are a storefront publishing list of content, we're going to discontinue services with you. So Steam was among those hits. Steam actually did a lot to kind of obfuscate that, actually. Itch.io did an initial, like, not delisting, but like kind of brief removal of everything. I actually haven't followed that situation for a little while, but I know that they are, at one point they were working very hard to either find a new payment processor that didn't have such stringent requirements, or see if they can reason with the payment processors themselves. I haven't followed that story in a couple of months. What was the resolution of that? Has there been a resolution of that?
I have to say that I haven't kept up with it outside of the initial like 2 weeks after it happened.
Yeah, I'd say that news seemed to kind of go cold on it, at least the sources I was following, but I also didn't do my due diligence and like look into it following what you're talking about a ton. So it could still kind of be up in the air. It could be a problem just as much as it was back in like the summer, early fall.
I mean, like, I'm not exactly upset that it stopped getting coverage, because given the state of a lot of other things, there are a lot of other things that kind of need attention. But like, it is still kind of unfortunate that it seems like maybe a regressive movement within our culture, our society is maybe gaining some ground in a not so much a legal basis, although they are gaining ground there, but in a like financial and backroom deals kind of way, which is not great.
Yeah. Well, Jenny, you told us about some of your influential games you've played.
Yeah.
Do you want to dip back into your past a little bit more and tell us like about some more gaming influences, maybe where some of your tastes come from?
The two big ones that I really think of are like Owlboy and Celeste. I've played. I'm thinking back. I'm like, I've played a lot of 2D platformers, but it doesn't just end there. Like I said, I used to do live streams in which I would play like first half is I would speedrun Celeste, second half I'd do something else, and just during that time I played a whole bunch of different things. I played. There was a whole time when I went through and played a lot of games that some people could consider walking simulators. I think that term is very funny. And I thought it was so funny that I was just like, okay, for the next like 2 months, I'm only going to play these types of games. And a lot of the more well-known ones are wonderful. Like Firewatch is incredible. What Remains of Edith Finch is incredible. Gone Home, it's pretty short, but it's also very good.
That's also a queer game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gone Home it's you don't realize it until like the last like hour.
Right.
Which is part of the reason it was like harangued so much back when it came out, because culture hadn't really moved as much as it has now. But some stuff like that.
Nice.
I've also played like some Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight's incredible. I have not yet played Silksong. I'm getting to it. My favorite game by far is Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds is like I think one of the best pieces of media ever created. And I know this is not an episode about Outer Wilds, but I could talk forever about how awesome that game is.
Secret second featuring of Outer Wilds.
Have you talked about it on the show?
Outer Wilds was like season 1.
I was about to say it's like the one.
This is episode 94 of our show. That was the featured game in episode 10.
Nice.
Yeah. So we covered it a while back. Yeah.
There's
Did you ever cover the DLC Echoes of the Eye?
I
Disco's
briefly
played
mentioned it. Yeah.
Disco's talked about it, but we don't usually like feature DLC. We'll report on it if we play it. Yeah.
It's like a whole second game to that game.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I still need to play that.
It's so good.
There's some our episode 100 is coming up, and we have some special topics
Ooh.
that we don't necessarily feature in all of our season finale countdowns. But Outer Wilds is going to be mentioned a couple times in episode 100.
I guess we can cut this from the episode, but the coordinates to the eye, I want to get them tattooed on my shoulder.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
I've seen that on a couple people before. Yeah.
The Outer Wilds subreddit is hilarious because it's literally 4 posts. It is help, I'm stuck at this part of the game. I just finished the game. It's so incredible. I just got a tattoo. And and the less common kind of post is someone complaining that everybody is so uptight about spoilers.
Right. Yeah. Easy to spoil that game, but also hard to spoil the entire game. It would actually take you a long time to just sit down and spoil everything, but it is easy to drop a spoiler.
Because like my perspective on the game that a lot of people share is it's the kind of game where your knowledge is progress, not like a list of things that you've done. It is what you know.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know things about the game going in, that is game that has been ripped away from you that you cannot experience because somebody cheated you in. I love that game. The DLC is incredible. I literally can't talk about it in high enough praises. There's a couple things that it like trips up on, but that's because it's like such a unique, weird thing that's doing so many like weird things that some people just bounce off it because it's not a traditional kind of game.
Yeah.
Is there something about indie games that appeals differently from mainstream titles? I know you talked about indie games tend to, on average, be much more queer and more open to exploring those themes.
And cheaper.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very accessible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that delta's only widened
Oh,
in the last few
yes.
years.
Oh, yes. There's more stuff. Like, there's just more. There are different kinds of things. Like, if I want to go grab a AAA game right now, my options are first-person shooter, first-person extraction shooter, other first-person extraction shooter,
Third-person extraction shooter.
third-person extraction shooter, action horror game of the same franchise that came out 2 years ago, action game of the same franchise. It's a remake of a game from like the early 2000s. And that's kind of it. Like, there's not a lot going on there. There's like a formula that a lot of big companies are trying to hit over and over and over and over and over. And a lot of more independent studios, and the whole line between like indie and independent is blurring a lot in the indie space right now.
And this is where we get into a 4-hour discussion on what is indie. How do you define that?
And I'm not going to worry about it right
Everybody has a different boundary line for that.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
But in an indie game, I can have side-scrolling platformer that's punishingly difficult for no other reason that that's kind of fun. I can have unique experience about the like finding your meaning in a meaningless existence that also happens to be like an extremely revolutionary and groundbreaking like 3D platformer and is also running a physics simulation in your computer. You can have a video game about unpacking boxes that is incredibly emotionally resonant and makes you feel a lot of things.
That's one of our favorites.
Yeah. There's a lot more diversity amongst the kind of thing, a lot more diversity of types of games, which is because there's a lot more diversity in people. A lot more different kinds of people are making games. The tools for making games have become more accessible, and so people can tell stories both through narrative and through mechanics and through immersion, or the lack of those. Sometimes subverting all of that to make an interesting experience. Like you will never, ever get a game like Pathologic in a AAA studio, because the point of Pathologic is to hurt the player. It is to make the player question what they are doing, but still keep them hooked because the narrative is fascinating, and make them suffer for it. It's crazy, but it's incredible, and you don't see that kind of thing in AAA spaces.
Yeah, you see the reinvention, you see the expression,
Yeah.
you see the diversity.
Oh yeah.
It's like you can't point to just one reason why it's so
No,
alluring.
it's like you have the boring same forever, or you have the mystical fields of innovation.
Yes. And so we're both always constantly flabbergasted at how some of these games don't get a wider audience.
Yeah.
And I think, a lot of it's marketing, a lot of it is people falling into the patterns and just following what's popular. And it's a snowball when the popular thing is the popular thing is the popular thing.
I also think that it's a degree of saturation of the market.
Yeah.
There are a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
There are especially a lot of indie games. And there are many, many, many indie games that are incredible that never really get exposure just because they didn't have the ability to do marketing, or there was just like a release window that was something else happened.
Or they do something just like a little bit too similarly
Yep.
to something else that really took off.
Yep.
And it just didn't have its moment. It wasn't the right time.
Yep.
And if you look at the charts of like how many games are released on Steam every year, and you look back at like 2008 and you look to 2026, you see this chart that's just exponentially just shooting up. And it's like 50 games a day now, I think, is like not that uncommon.
Yep. To give a very specific example of this, brought up Supergiant a little bit already, Hades and Hades 2, incredible games. The first game as Supergiant was Bastion. Bastion today, unremarkable. Bastion is like, I've played 4 Bastions in the last 2 years.
Oh, you see a Bastion-like thing come out.
Like, it's-
but back then, revolutionary.
The things that Bastion did are not interesting anymore. At the time, very interesting, but not anymore. That's just the cycle of art generally, but it's compounded by the fact that so many people are getting in on it because it's a really cool medium by which you can express yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I think that's also why games like Balatro take off, because it's just such a weird thing that everybody then cloned, and everybody knows that it's a clone, and Balatro is going to be king for a while.
Absolutely. Yeah. It happened even just like in the 12 months after it was released. You saw so many inspirations.
Also some direct ripoffs.
Yeah.
A lot of people trying to capitalize on the fact that it did not have a mobile port, so they made their own bad mobile version.
Oh, that's frustrating.
So you've mentioned a lot of games, but if you were to mention a few of your personal recommendations for listeners for a new interactive experience, what would those be? And then if there are some in particular that speak to the queer experience, what would those be as well?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of double up a little bit. Celeste, very good if you haven't played it. It's a very popular platformer for a reason. It's a 2D platformer that's kind of in the vein of Super Meat Boy, except Super Meat Boy is intentionally being mean to you, and Celeste is giving you a challenge and being very nice about it. It can be mean at points, but it is being very nice and fair to you for the most part, especially once you know how that game works under the hood.
Yeah.
It is very nice.
And telling a very human story.
Very human
Whereas
story.
Super Meat Boy is telling a very meat and evil fetus story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, is very different.
Yeah. And Celeste is also like, at the time it was released, it was not explicitly a queer story, but everybody kind of realized very quickly that it was. The lead developer came out later and was like, yeah, Madeline's trans. Yeah. And also the lead developer came out as non-binary, changed the name of the studio because it was her old name. The composer's trans.
Right?
I love Lena Raines so much. But yeah, that whole thing happened. So yeah, the Celeste is up there. If you just want like one of the most incredible video game experiences you're ever gonna have, play Outer Wilds. Buy the DLC, play the DLC. It's like, I can't tell you much more about it just because it's one of the most phenomenal gaming experiences you've ever had. If you do end up deciding to play it, I will say it is non-traditional in the sense that it will not really tell you what is going on. Part of the game is to figure out what is happening and know it inside of your own brain. It does help you in some regards, but it doesn't hold your hand. Do I have like a third that I would be up top recommending? Tunic. Play
Nice.
Tunic.
That's on our list to feature at some point.
It's very likely that we'll play it next season if we stick with the guests for next season we originally planned.
We might have someone else local helping us talk about it, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Tunic, for you guys then. Tunic is it's quite good. The way that I like to describe it is, you know how like in a body of research or like a field of sorts, you can think of knowledge as a circle, like progressive circles, where you have like what is very, very well established in the middle, and then like you start, as you get further away, you start getting like what is kind of lesser known or harder to understand. And then a PhD thesis, something that is like research and new, is like, what if we spiked out a little bit and tried to find something extremely specific about the outer reaches of this field? Tunic is that. Tunic does that. It is doing something weird, and it is the only thing I've ever seen doing it.
Okay.
Very cool. I know it's inspired some of the more recent games we've played, and it's inspired creators who make very similar games like Billy Basso who made Animal Well, loves Tunic. Even put, this is a very tiny spoiler, not really, but even put a reference to Tunic in his game, which is cool.
If either of you have played the newest chapters of Deltarune, Deltarune chapters 3 and 4, there is a segment of the game that doesn't explicitly, but is very heavily influenced by Tunic.
Very cool. Nice. Those are good recommendations. I'd say I agree with the ones that you mentioned that I've played for sure. Yeah, I would recommend those to someone looking to get into indie games.
I've had the shop page for the PS4 physical for Tunic open on my computer for like 2 years. I just haven't had the money for it yet.
Pick it up. It's real good.
I'm gonna as soon as I can. Or as soon as I have to, and that'll be a good excuse to move from have to can.
Jenny, we'd love to know, what are you looking forward to doing next? It could be something with Lavender Hill. It could be something with work. It could be something more hobby-based. It could be something informal, formal, whatever.
I mean, I got a lot of stuff kind of in the air right now. I mean, I just started a new job in which I'm like regularly like talking to political candidates around the country and trying to wrangle a whole bunch of people in a community to make phone calls and go out canvassing. I want to do more traveling in that vein. I guess like the major thing that outside of that I'm very excited about doing is this might sound weird on a video game show, but doing fitness. Like I've learned a lot more about like how to actually diet in a way that's not just suffering, and how to exercise in a way that's like actually sustainable and fun. And I've been doing a little bit more of that, and it's been really, really fulfilling for me.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
Congratulations!
That's awesome.
I love. It's been good.
Nice. Well, Jenny, could you tell listeners where they can find you and Lavender Hill, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so you can find Lavender Hill at KZUM, KZUM.org, but you might not necessarily be listening on the website. You can find KZUM.org. Or if you live in the Lincoln, Nebraska area, you can tune in at 89.3 FM on 11 a.m. on Sunday.
11 a.m. to noon.
Every Sunday, because Lavender Hill, we talk about some news, views, and interviews relating to the LGBTQ plus community. And I like to get angry and shout on that show a lot because I have very strong opinions on the way that certain politicians handle these issues.
Imagine that. You said that you also live stream. Do you want to tell the listeners where they can find you?
So I used to live stream to my own YouTube channel. I have not done that in years. But I recently started a job with Progressive Victory, which is a political action group. I regularly, every couple of weeks or so, right now it's like every week, talking to a politician about various things that they are interested in. I'm going to be in the next couple of weeks to months starting my own show with one of my coworkers, and it'll be a fun time hopefully. Because like tomorrow, actually, I'm interviewing Kat Abughazaleh.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You should tune in as a Progressive Victory on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll be at 5 p.m.
She's immediately was like, I think I've heard that name from her before.
Yep.
So.
Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing about yourself, Jenny, and your gaming tastes, and about Lavender Hill and recommendations and everything. We're not done with you yet. We're going to move on to our next segment with you, which is talking about Coffee Talk, the game you chose from our list.
I did choose it from the list.
Yes.
It's good.
Well,
we're going to hear about your thoughts when we talk about Coffee Talk.
All right.
It is our featured game. Coffee Talk is a visual novel from 2020. It was developed and published by Toge Productions. It was also published by Chorus Worldwide. The game synopsis from the Steam storefront reads, quote, Coffee Talk. Hey, I'm talking here.
The game takes place in Seattle, but we're in New York here.
Hey, I'm talking here. The game synopsis from the Steam storefront reads...
Jeez.
I think we're keeping that in. Quote, Coffee Talk is a coffee brewing and heart-to-heart talking simulator about listening to fantasy-inspired modern people's problems and helping them by serving up a warm drink or two. End quote. So in Coffee Talk, you play as a barista running Coffee Talk, a coffee shop where customers are welcome to come and chat about their lives.
And it only opens after midnight.
That's true, yes. So it's always like a nighttime setting. It takes place in an alternate Seattle in the year 2020, where society is inhabited by humans and fantasy creatures coexisting. You have, what are some creatures we see in this? We have elves, orcs,
We
werewolves,
have demons.
demons.
We have Necamimes. We have Atlanteans, vampires. If you didn't mention that already,
yes, succubi.
succubus. Yes, sorry, succubus. That's what I meant by demon. I forgot. It's
Oh, got
specifically
it.
Succubus.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a sequel to the game that adds some more, but it's all in that kind of vein.
Yes.
I think they're, and then in the
And then there's Neil.
there's Neil.
There are extraterrestrials, I guess. And we have characters we interact with and talk to often in this game. So we have, I'm just going to briefly list who we talk to in this game because otherwise there's not much to set up with the story here. There's Freya, a writer
The
working.
one human.
Oh yeah, there's
is,
humans.
is Georgie not?
Georgie is human. You're right.
But there are only two.
There's
I
only
think. Yeah.
only them, and they're the first two you talk to.
There's Freya, a writer working on her first novel and is looking for inspiration. There's Bailey's, an elf from a strict traditional family, and he's in a relationship with Lua. And Lua is a succubus who is unsure about how to carry her relationship forward. There's Georgie, a local police officer. There's Gala, a werewolf who works at a hospital and was formerly a bodyguard for Hyde. Hyde is a blood-sober vampire with a modeling background. There's Myrtle, an orc working as a game developer on a series called Full Metal Conflict. And there's also Aqua, another indie game designer. And Aqua is an oceanic...
Atlantean.
Atlantean. Okay, that's what we call it. There's Rachel, who is the cat girl. Necomimi. And there's Rachel's father, Hendry, who is a music manager, and he worries about her career. And there's
I don't think you mentioned that Rachel was a pop idol.
Yes. Yes, she's a singer, a pop idol, is performing in a local festival.
I forget the name of it off the top of my head.
Coachella.
Coachella, right.
Yes, is performing in Coachella. And then there's Neil, who is, I think it's fair to say Neil is an alien
Yes,
visiting Earth with a mission to breed.
I mean, yep, that is I think the first two lines that they say.
And so your objective is to serve drinks to these customers and listen to their stories.
Yeah. As far as gameplay goes, visual novels usually don't have much in terms of gameplay. You just kind of go through all the dialogue. Occasionally we'll be asked to make drinks, so we will assess what they've asked for and try to create something that meets the criteria based on the ingredients that we have that day. So you'll select up to 3 ingredients for each drink with duplicates allowed. So for example, you can select coffee for all 3 ingredients and that'll produce espresso. But you will always start with a base of either coffee or tea or green tea or chocolate or milk. You can't just have a cup full of honey. But you can do.
That's what I would order.
I was right there. I was like 2 seconds away from saying it.
You can do green tea and then honey plus more honey. And sometimes order of operations matters. Doing tea plus milk plus ginger does not yield the same result as tea plus ginger plus milk.
You're getting into stuff.
I was about to say that's also, I think, a very specific combo right there.
Yeah, but don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
We won't tell you who it's for or what it's for.
And then as you create unique or special drinks, like as we mentioned, espresso or other ones that have special names, those will get recorded in an app on your smartphone. And onto your smartphone, you do have 3 other apps. One that tracks like social media and just general knowledge of the regulars that arrive at Coffee Talk. It's basically this game's version of your relationship tracker.
Yeah.
There's another app that handles all of the music. So you can select your various lo-fi chill beats to play by, it's Jeremy Andrews. So Arami Gendru is the composer there. So you can select all the different songs to play whenever you want. Otherwise, they'll just play kind of at random, I think.
Some of them are scene specific.
Right. Okay.
And then sometimes the music just like is designed to loop, and then it kind of cuts whenever like a new conversation kind of starts. That does happen on occasion.
Yeah. And then lastly, there's an app that I think this is like just portraying an app where writers can submit their works of fiction. I only kind of glanced at
It's the so Freya, who's the writer, she's not just writing a novel. Her day job is that she works for the local newspaper called the Evening Whispers.
Okay.
And you can open that up and you can sort of read what the news stories are for that day, and also read what Freya's article says.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't open that, so I didn't read any of them, but I did take a quick look at the end of my playthrough. And that's all I had for gameplay, really.
Yeah.
Like, visual novels are pretty
simple.
approachable as far as gameplay goes.
And then this game was followed up by a sequel and a spinoff. So there's Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. And we're going to be reviewing that and featuring that next episode, also with Jenny.
Hi, I will be there too.
Yes, so we're excited for that.
We get so much extra time to talk about it.
Yay, I'm excited. And then also we
I have
have
so many Coffee Talk 2 opinions. You have no idea. I have so many.
I haven't played it yet.
Oh my God.
I don't know anything. I've seen some of the characters on my physical copy. That's it.
It is. Oh man, I'm very excited to talk about this with you guys because
like, what I wanted to do was go into this recording with just Coffee Talk on the brain.
I have both of them in my head.
Okay,
and so I
interesting.
have both. I have opinions on both, and we can talk about them next time.
All right. Well, do your best to just
stay tuned, listener.
Put things through the Coffee Talk 1 filter today.
Yeah, I'll do my
best.
best.
And then we'll talk about the sequel next time.
Yeah.
But then also there is the upcoming Coffee Talk Tokyo, and this is quite a great time to be talking about Coffee Talk because Coffee Talk Tokyo is releasing in just a couple months.
I didn't know about this.
It was previously delayed from March. So it was going to release this month. They delayed it a couple months. But also, this game is coming soon to Android and iOS. That is the first Coffee Talk will be on mobile devices on March 20th.
I mean, it's suited for it. It wouldn't be an out of place as a mobile game.
Absolutely. I agree.
The interface would be fairly friendly.
Yeah. And I think this is possibly to coincide with the lead up to Coffee Talk Tokyo. So I'm just glad that more people get to experience games in this series. Which
awesome.
Is great.
So yeah, when you hear this episode, if you're listening on release day, Friday, you can get Coffee Talk on your phones.
It's technically not out yet, but it will be out very shortly. Now, Jenny, I believe how this worked was Disco sent a list of featured game ideas to you.
Yes.
And you looked at it.
Yeah.
And you picked Coffee Talk from our list. And then we got talking about it more. And we're like, let's cover both games that are out right now with Jenny. When you looked at the list, what stuck out about Coffee Talk?
What stuck out about Coffee Talk is A, I've already played it.
Cool.
And B, it's the kind of game where a lot of people don't know about it. Like it's kind of in that middle range of indie games where it is known, but not like super known. But by the people who know it, it's pretty well liked. The thing about Coffee Talk is it's not doing anything unique gameplay wise. It is Coffee Talk is itself very, very based on another game called Valhalla. If you've heard of it.
That's on our
I think
list.
we just added that to our list recently.
Coffee Talk is extremely based on Valhalla. It's the same gameplay loop, exact same gameplay loop. The main difference is the setting, actually.
So for listener context, Valhalla came out first.
Yes,
And it's like a cyberpunk bartending.
It is a cyberpunk bartending game.
Yeah.
It is. I couldn't get through it. I didn't like it very much. Valhalla is.
We will not ask you to be on that episode.
I mean, sometimes you want to review a game that you don't like just to talk about it. You know?
True. Yeah.
But Valhalla, it takes place in like a cyberpunk future in which everything's kind of terrible and bad, and like the first customer is like openly talked about like assaulting women. Like it's pretty rough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a pretty rough game, and all the ingredients to your drinks are all like nothing. It's all like Goofliz and Springo, and
you don't have references for.
You don't have references. So you don't really know what things would theoretically taste like, and that's the point. The point of the game is that it's the cyberpunk world where everything's kind of alien and weird and like distilled into something and then packaged into a product. Cyberpunk. Coffee Talk has the literally identical gameplay where customer walks in, talks to you for a bit, asks for an order, you make the order, you continue talking, customers talk amongst each other, stuff kind of happens in the background. But the setting is very, very different. In Coffee Talk, the vibes are, what if instead of an unapproachable, inhuman world where people show up in your bar and say horrendous things, what if instead they show up in your bar and are like, why are you a coffee shop that only opens at midnight? What's going on here? And then the point of the game is, instead of to be like a cyberpunk thing, it's a very modern day exploration of people through the lens of discussion. How can like relating to each other and like talking to people and misunderstanding and then recontextualizing that misunderstanding, and all of that happens through the social environment of a coffee shop that has only like 3 people in it. It's good. I like Coffee Talk, and I don't like Valhalla that much. But Coffee Talk, so all of that to say, Coffee Talk is quote unquote derivative of Valhalla. It's the same gameplay loop. It's not doing anything unique.
Well, what you did there was perfect. You were going into things you love about Coffee Talk. I guess this is now your time. Share your other overarching thoughts if you have them.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll have some discussion topics in a moment. We're going to delve into maybe favorite characters, relationships, moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else do you love about Coffee Talk?
I think the thing I love about Coffee Talk is that there's always a vibe of something in the background that is happening, but you never have enough information to really know. And there are a couple references here and there that allude to it.
Interesting.
The fact that there's something kind of going on, but for the most part, it doesn't matter. What matters are the people you're talking to, the drinks that you're serving them, and the environment that you're creating for them. And the fact that that happens at the same time is kind of a magic, where you're invested in these characters, but you're also invested in like the background story. Because there isn't really a narrative through line for Coffee Talk. There are a couple things that like coalesce at the end, but there's not really a narrative through line except for this little thing that kind of shows up here and there.
I know that I was really drawn in. There's like hints of things at the start of every day. So I didn't mention this, but the game takes place over 14 different days.
Yes.
Each day lasting, well, I guess it depends on how fast you read and stuff, but each day by itself isn't a ton of time.
30 minutes at most.
Yeah. Every day, there's like a little front page newspaper moment where you get to see some headlines, and sometimes there are hints to things that were either referenced the previous day or that you will hear in the next day. And so I'm kind
like
of
a newspaper.
listening for those hints. They're not just world building that's then thrown aside. It's actually like Coachella is mentioned, and then that becomes part of a character's story.
Yep. Elements of werewolves are mentioned.
Yeah. Also, there's a narrative through line of like, everybody asks, what kind of person opens a coffee shop that only opens after midnight? And that's kind of like a weird open question for the whole story until like you get the secret ending.
Yeah.
And so like it's probed at in a whole bunch of different ways. And the fact that that's like happening at the same time is very, very cool. I like that.
Cool.
In terms of like do I give a rating now?
Yeah.
Well, if there's anything, do you have any complaints that maybe you have about Coffee Talk?
I mean, there can always be like a couple complaints here and there. My complaint is a personal gripe. When I streamed it years ago, not almost every, but a lot of songs randomly got hit by YouTube's copyright algorithm.
Oh,
so I
interesting.
had to mute the audio from several sections of them.
Shoot.
So it was just kind of a pain for a while.
That's the thing streamers have to think about.
Yeah. I didn't think it was going to do that. There was nothing about licensed music until it showed up.
Yeah,
Weird.
that's very unusual for a game that's not very specifically licensing tracks from established art. Like, as far as I can tell, Arami Gendru wrote this music for Coffee Talk.
I think what happened is that like after a while those things get put into YouTube's content ID system and then it just gets flagged. And what am I going to do? I don't want to get copy stricken.
Right, exactly.
But in terms of the actual on the game's merits, there are a couple things. Just like the visual fidelity of the game is intentionally stylized. I kind of wish there was more variation in the way that the cafe is on day to day. Like the fact that the same silhouettes walk by the window, and it's like always like either rainy or not rainy, and there's kind of nothing else really. And all of the world building is done through text. It's very show, not so much tell, as it pertains to the environment. To be expected of a game called Coffee Talk, but still, it's a medium where that could have been taken advantage of a lot more.
Okay.
I think that's fair. And then what would you rate the game out of 10?
I gave it an 8.5.
8.5.
Perfect.
Wonderful. All right. And Disco, what are some of your overall thoughts after playing Coffee Talk?
Alrighty. So it's no secret around here for longtime listeners. I'm not a big reader in general. So like visual novels.
Neither of us know how to read.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
problem
actually
too.
illiterate.
Podcasters are famously illiterate.
So like visual novels that don't have voice acting attached to them can like really draw out my experience or create some dread in me. So that existed here. So like it wasn't as daunting a task as like Kentucky Route Zero was. So anyways, all this is to say things that I liked about Coffee Talk. I like the look of this game. Again, longtime listeners know that I'm a sucker for pixel art. And I think the pixel art in this game is done exceptionally well. Everybody and everything looks amazing. And all of the characters are very exceptionally expressive, but really in a really simple way too. So
I think each character has like their default, just kind of sitting at the table, smiling. And then they also have like an open mouth. They have a laughing, and I think they have I think their eyes look left to right.
Yeah.
Very limited sprite set.
yeah.
Which is cool.
And I'm thinking of like, what's the Atlantean's name?
Aqua.
Aqua. I think the way that she's not only drawn with the pixel art and kind of like hunched over, sort of closed off, but even just the small ways that she animates really portrays her character really well. Generally speaking, I like all of the characters. Even if I don't at first, I do grow to like them at least somewhat. This kind of surprises me with characters like Bailey's, who just kind of looks exceptionally punchable, but at the end
I thought that the moment Bailey showed up. Yeah.
It's been a while since I played it the first time, because now I only think of Bailey's as like the way he is at the end of the game. But man, he is very like, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up, Bailey's.
Yeah. But that's just how he looks. He just looks like someone I want to punch. He's not actually all that bad. I like that our own character is not a totally silent actor. We have input and we're not just observers to this ensemble. That kind of thing can happen a lot in games like this. Heck, even like Enjoy the Diner was kind of like that to a point, but I think that our character responding deepens those relationships even more. Which brings me to maybe my favorite bit, which is Freya. I love her journey and how we get to be the host that watches as she goes from needing an idea to publishing her final work.
Yeah. She is a through line.
That is,
yeah.
I think it's valid that there's not really a strong
strong
overarching story, but Freya is the consistent one that you're following, I'd say,
right.
every day.
And, it could be easy for me to not like the main character, but I like Freya just fine. As far as like things that I might complain about, again, generally speaking, I'm not typically into these kind of games. I don't care for reading overall, just kind of in general. So at times these games can be a drag for me, and sometimes I can just like struggle to turn them on. I had maybe 3 days where it was like time to play Coffee Talk, and instead I played Digimon. So it was like,
which is not Coffee Talk.
It is not
right?
Coffee Talk.
Yeah.
It was like 1 a.m. and I'm like, do I really want to read right now? No, I don't.
I have made Disco suffer. You have suffered. I've made you suffer for your art.
Well,
and you'll do it again.
This
Coffee
is
Talk too.
To be fair to myself, this was like before I even started the game. It was just like I was dreading the start, but once I got it rolling, it was easier to come back.
It was on our list.
Yep.
He knew about it.
My next complaint: I don't love that order matters when it comes to making drinks. I get that. In fact, sometimes that can be the case when you're making a drink, but generally, I think with a lot of these combinations, you still arrive at the same tasting drink, even if the order of operation is different.
These are your thoughts and complaints, but there's a reason that that's the case.
Okay.
because your primary ingredient, because you have primary, secondary, and tertiary ingredients.
Right.
It is not like you're putting these things into the drink. You're supposed to think about, because the primary is what is in most.
And primary makes sense that has to be
But
first.
secondary and tertiary, they have different effects on the taste and flavor because you're putting different amounts in.
Oh, okay.
The game doesn't explicitly say that, but it does imply it pretty significantly. Like if you put in honey as your second ingredient, it'll increase the sweetness by a lot. But if you put it in as the third ingredient, you just swap the last two, it'll increase the
doesn't go up
sweet.
as
It
much?
won't go up nearly as much.
I never noticed that.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
I think I assumed it was the same stats wise because in the little UI in the corner, it's split into thirds. So I'm assuming that it's equal thirds, right? I think maybe some little visual tip off to that could have been helpful, but
Well, I mean, because it gives you the stats of like, I think if there's like 9 squares of like
Yeah,
different
right.
of the different like profiles. You have your hot, cold, sweet, and
Bitter.
bitter, and various ingredients will affect those different meters of the drink differently.
right.
And so the reason that like the reason that the order does matter is because you're putting different amounts in there.
Yeah, but
So
I
I
never-
understand that criticism. It's not explicitly said, but that is what is happening.
I never even thought to check that though.
Yeah.
If I put
Really?
if I put honey in first, or sorry, honey in second as the secondary, I never thought, well, let me just try that in a tertiary fashion because I thought again it was thirds. So
Yeah.
I just thought it was going to be the same effect.
So, like-
the thought didn't even enter my mind to try that.
In
Yeah.
your head, what might have made that a little bit easier is if your primary ingredient is like a much larger rectangle, your second ingredient is
Yeah.
a smaller rectangle,
yeah,
and then your third
like
is
an
even
inverted
smaller.
pyramid or something.
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, some visual
would have
design
helped me.
Some
but-
visual design would have been pretty clear. But yeah, I think that is why. So
Well,
I
now-
understand the criticism.
Now that makes sense.
Yeah.
But so I guess my complaint is that I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah.
And I also wonder if someone has barista experience, would that be more intuitive for some people, like people who have had to make drinks?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's just the way that I play games, but like the moment that, because you don't have all the ingredients on the first day, you
Right.
unlock them over the course of like, I think you get all of them by day 3. By day 3, I was like, ooh, I have ingredients to play with. And I started not like fully making drinks, but I'd like put in the combinations before I hit brew. And I was like, ooh, these combinations are different. It's doing different things. I just started playing around with it immediately.
Cool.
So I noticed it very quick.
Yeah. And the game gives you that freedom. Like
Yeah.
you're not locked in too, which is great. You can reset the drink.
You have only
can-
so many resets per day, but yeah.
Well, even before you
Before
hit
you brew.
Before you brew it,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. You can freely add the ingredients and then without any penalty, start over.
Yep.
Love that.
And then while I appreciate that it's a smaller time commitment, I do sort of wish that we had more overall agency. I kind of noticed during our second time around how little anything I did mattered, really. Even if I did make incorrect drinks, there seems to be very little consequence, if any, as far as I can tell.
There is. There's a lot of, most of the consequence isn't immediate. It shows up over the course of the next few days, and especially the end. The end has a lot of, the end changes in, if you like get a drink mostly right, and you do that consistently, you'll get like the good ending, but you won't get the ending. If you mess up drinks a couple, then some storylines just don't finish. Like people just stop showing up to the cafe.
Interesting. All right. And then lastly, while I don't really like that we have to go around a second time, it reveals an interesting element of our own character, but I don't think I really cared about that too much. And I'd much rather have like the true ending or whatever tied to all the decisions or our ability to make correct decisions with our patrons the first time around. So that second time around feels more like, if that were the case, that second time around would have felt more like a chance to improve myself as opposed to just something that I have to do no matter what, regardless of my performance. Does that make sense?
I get you.
Yeah.
So you went around, you did the second.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Because even when you like load up the game, it shows you like progress. And even if you got to day 14, it's like 50% progress because you do have to go around the second time based
Gotcha.
on what you learn in the final moments with Neil, I guess I will say.
Yeah.
So anyways, in the end, I would not say that this game really moved the needle for me on visual novels, but I did like it a lot more than I expected. Seeing multiple different arcs resolve in the coffee shop we host is just delightful. I like all the characters to some degree, and the pixel art is always on point. Given some of the odd twists with our player character, I'm excited to see where Coffee Talk 2 goes and to see who, if anyone, returns. So for me, I give Coffee Talk an 8.0 out of 10.
Nice. Very cool. So for me, Coffee Talk was a perfectly decent time. I enjoyed this. When I come to a visual novel, I haven't played many of them in my life, but when I am coming to one, I'm first and foremost looking at the writing, right? And I found it compellingly written. There's a lot of personality given to each of the characters to make them identifiable. I think there's a point in this game you reach where you could take away the character designs and the names on the dialogue boxes, and you could tell who's talking based on what you're reading, which is very powerful, despite having, gosh, I don't even know what's the count. I mean, it's around 10, a dozen maybe.
I think you listed them all out, and I think it's about that many.
It's about that many. And so that's a lot of characters to represent and to each have a moment to shine here and there. And I think this game accomplishes that. The lo-fi chill beats to serve coffee to really sells the effect of this place. I think it's just really fitting music. I'm sorry you had to mute the music after a certain while.
No, so it wasn't mute the music. It's just like in the recorded VOD afterwards. I just had to take it down. But in the moment, it wasn't a problem.
Gotcha. And then the presentation of the coffee and tea making is really slick. Like how we hear the pouring of milk and the chopping of ginger. I think all that
and your little honey wand like hitting the walls of the honey jar.
I was like, that's really good. I just imagine a person doing that in front of a microphone. So it kind of reminds me of Neha Patel doing sounds for Venba, right? So really cool stuff. And I also just love how fast that is, selecting all the ingredients, hitting brew or whatever it is, and it just happens in a moment. It's just instant.
Get some comic book panels and it's done.
Oh, I love the comic book panels, right? Yeah. So the presentation, I think, is really strong in this game. I get to some dislikes here too, and I agree with a lot of what Disco said. One thing that stuck out to me is I felt a bit of whiplash with the stories going on. I feel like a lot of threads come and go. I didn't find stories often going the full distance in a way that I wanted. Maybe it's because I didn't satisfy the drink orders enough to get the endings. I feel like I didn't see all the endings of all the stories. So maybe I feel unfulfilled there for that reason. I feel like each of the story moments, I'd get interested and then that person walks away. And so I felt like something was sort of ripped from me here and there. And I just wanted to stay with the story that I was presented a little bit longer. I also feel like the interactive moments feel a little off for a couple reasons. I feel like moments where you're asked to brew something or, maybe make coffee, maybe make a tea drink, and the outcome that comes with that feels, now after you know everything, it might not feel incidental, but to me in the moment, I don't know how to make some of these drinks. And sometimes it's a mystery. The outcome isn't known to me. I don't even know that the drink that I'm making will create an outcome that's different depending on how I create it. So I don't really know the stakes. It's kind of just a mystery to me. And there are sometimes very few hints for what correctly makes a drink. So I'm left to guess. And the game, I can think of one example where the game didn't acknowledge something I did. And that's where, this is going back to the drink that I think you were mostly referencing with the order, where order matters. I'm speaking vaguely to avoid spoilers, but there's a certain drink that very clearly asks for two of the ingredients, right?
Yes.
And then you start experimenting. And that's fun to me. I think that's the right amount of give me a hint, but then give me freedom to explore.
I agree.
Be my own barista. Fun. I did try the mystery third ingredient. The game didn't tell me that was a correct ingredient. It just said it was wrong. So I go, okay, I'll try a different ingredient next time. The game didn't say the order mattered, but then when the next opportunity came to make that drink for that person and that reason, it said, hey, you haven't tried this ingredient yet. And I did. I did. And so I was like at the game, I was like, I tried that. What? And so that's how I learned that order matters. And it was the game sort of not being intelligent enough is the reason I learned that order matters. So I kind of wish the game was just a little bit more self-aware sometimes of what I've tried. Again, this only happens during some of the drink making moments. So it's not constant. So overall, I found Coffee Talk to be pleasant. I enjoyed learning about these characters. I think it does a great job at representing different perspectives and situations. I did want a bit more out of some of the stories. The drink making honestly felt a little tacked on at times. So for me, Coffee Talk's a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
So I'm positive, not my favorite story-focused game that I've played recently, but I'm very glad I played it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm looking forward to the sequel as well, like Disco.
Yeah. I'm very excited to like delve into a bit more of the discussion because there's a lot of the game that I'm very surprised you two didn't see.
Yes. So I meant to bring this up. It was not clear to me that I should have replayed. I learned about the true ending stuff when I was doing some research on the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned accidentally.
I knew that I understood that I had to go back around again.
Because my if I remember correctly, like at the end of the game, a character, changes and then they show up and then there's a brief interaction that's like, oh, something more is going on here.
After credits.
After credits.
Yep.
And then it's like, oh yeah, go back and do it again. It basically says, go back and do stuff. You've missed things.
Yeah, it was like, just even in the conversation, it was like, oh yeah, I could have handled this different on this day or handled this different on this day. And I'm like, what did I even do on that day that would have made a difference? And then, when I went back again, it was like not necessarily tied to a decision that I made, but different things happened outside of my control once I did that.
This is talking about this game without delving into spoilers is extremely difficult because half the game happens. I'm not joking. Half the game happens after you finish the game. You've not played half the game. You've not played like a quarter of it.
This is like, this happened in one shot.
I love one shot.
Same thing happened in one shot. I didn't feel like the game was telling me, hey, go back and replay it. I just thought it was saying, hey, you could have done things differently. I didn't get the sense that I was missing out on the full story by not replaying it again.
I will not blame you for that because the replayability in one shot was not available on launch.
Yeah, and like it
and kind of the point of one shot is the finality of it, and then the like DLC for the game came out, which just integrated into the full game, and then the game became about finality in a different way.
Right.
Yeah, and it wasn't as specific either. Like when I got to the end of Coffee Talk, quote, 50% through the end of Coffee Talk, it was like it mentioned specific days. So I was like, that was a clue to me.
But what I'm saying here is what happened to me in one shot happened in Coffee Talk. So like, was I asleep? Like what? So because I saw the percentage thing too.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, those are threads I didn't see, but it's a slightly different outcome for those characters. I didn't know there was like a true ending tie-in to it.
So I know that this might be controversial. I think that's good that it doesn't tell you that.
Because of what it is?
Because of what it is.
Specifically. Okay.
Can I do spoilers? I have to do spoilers.
We'll cut it from the episode, but you can tell us.
The game is...
Right.
You are explicitly...
And I read about that when I was doing research.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ludonarrative consonance here is that you, the player, are unaware of this. And you, the character, are unaware of this until the end of the game. At the end of the game is when you, the player, and at the same time, you, the character, are like, oh, right. I'm like I can fix things.
So that gives you the framework and the excuse of doing the basically chapter select.
Yes.
Okay. I like that.
Yes.
I like that.
And the game is not explicit about this, which I think is a perfect decision.
Yeah.
I think it's because the fact that it's subtle about it, it doesn't put it in your face, but it alludes to it and encourages you to like figure it out and see what's going on. So that's why I'm not really upset that the game doesn't communicate some of its mechanics that well. And this gets into my opinions on Coffee Talk 2. Because I'm not going to talk about it, but like, I have so many Coffee Talk 2 opinions.
Okay, well, what I will do, I think the way you described it makes sense to me as someone who hasn't experienced it quite in the same way. And it makes me respect the game in a new way.
Yeah.
what I will promise to do is not necessarily, I don't know if I have time to see all this before the next time we record for Coffee Talk episode 2, but I'm going to look into some of this.
Yeah.
And I might be able to replay some days and get a sense for what's going on here.
I will say, for me, like, the content revealed by the true ending is fun. It's good. It's not like earth shattering. The reason I like Coffee Talk is because it lied to me, got away with it. That is what I like about Coffee Talk.
I like that. Sweet. And I'm glad that we were able to kind of save this for a moment after our individual thoughts too. All right. Well, when we look at the base game, no matter if you've played it once or replayed it and seen everything, I think we can take away these meaningful stories from customers. Were there interactions or storylines that resonated for us?
I mean, kind of a lot of them resonated for me. At the time I played it, I really liked Gala's and Hyde's interactions. Every single time Hyde is on screen, I'm having a great time. I think Hyde is my favorite character.
Wow,
I love
nice.
Hyde.
Interesting.
He's one of the characters who like knows your character's deal.
Oh, okay.
He figures it out. And he tells you that he figures it out. And it's really cool. It's really cool. Ugh. I love it. I love it so much. It's because sometimes if you're particularly observant and good at the game and you are very, very careful about how you do your drinks the first time through, he will like reveal stuff to you that you don't even know yet, that you technically shouldn't be able to know, and it's kind of confusing. And then after you finish the game, it makes way more sense. It's so cool.
Love that. I wouldn't have expected that answer because I remember the first time Hyde showed up, I was a little wary of like, what is Hyde going to say? Like, what's his true intention here?
His true intention is he's bored.
Yeah.
He's just bored.
Yeah.
I mean, immortality, you got to run out of things to do eventually.
Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Disco?
I think the ones that resonated with me the most were surprisingly Bailey's and Lua's relationship. And while it's like not a one-to-one comparison for me, but it's like there was a lot of worry early in my personal romantic relationship because the family that I come from is very different than the family she comes from. And, there was a preconceived notion inside my head, like, how is her family going to treat an atheist? And, how is that going to happen? So it's not a one-to-one sort of like this is...
There's a lot of overlap there, though.
Yeah. And so I was like, there was a lot of worry about that or way, way back when we first got together. So that one felt the most resonant for me.
I loved this. I mean, I connected with a lot of them, but I really connected with Aqua and Myrtle. I really liked seeing these two develop this relationship that I didn't necessarily see coming, but it really like blossoms organically, I think. And I saw myself a bit in Aqua as like someone who has a passion, but isn't necessarily sure how to get started and has that mentor. I've had mentors in my life who kind of like, help me along. That was Myrtle, but then it turns into something more. I thought it was really nice, at least of what I've seen. I don't know if there's more that I haven't seen that's like tragic or whatever, but yeah, I just think that they're a really cool couple, like two complementary pieces that just fit really well together.
Next, let's talk a little bit more about the coffee and tea brewing gameplay and how interactivity intersects with story.
I mean, it could be a lot better. I will say this. The outcomes for you making drinks correctly and incorrectly are not always like immediately noticeable. They are usually contained to like either like if you do something notable, it's either someone orders a drink and you give them the wrong drink, like this is not what I ordered, and then the chapter continues on as usual, and then it might just mean that at the end of the story, they're just not there and they don't really interact with anybody else. But if you do everything right, then everything goes right and yippee and smile. There's not a lot in the way of like diverging paths. Your choices do matter and they can feel very impactful because if Lua and Bailey's relationship falls apart, it's because you like didn't give them because the reason it works is because they both get the environment to like talk with you and then talk with each other. And if they don't feel comfortable in the space because you keep serving them bad drinks, they won't want to show up. So there are consequences. They just don't feel that impactful in the moment. At least that's how I feel about it.
Looking back, that makes so much sense that like you might not go back and get that chance to continue that thread, that storyline. But as I'm playing, I start to get the idea that, hey, maybe whether I make this correctly is making a difference, but I truly don't know.
Yeah.
First, whether that's happening, and second, if it is happening, how impactful is it really?
Yeah.
Because like I didn't see anything except Lua and Bailey's get together in the end. Like I didn't see negative consequences with them. And like when I was going through my second time, I was laying on that fast forward button.
Yep.
Because I'm just like, I don't have time.
The nice thing about the fast forward button is if it is dialogue that you've not seen before, it'll stop.
Exactly.
Cool.
And
We've seen that before.
And that's why when I was doing it, I was like, how big of an impact are my incorrect drinks? Because it was like, oh, this isn't what I ordered. And then it was just like going back into fast forward for like the rest of the chapter.
Yeah.
And so I was like, it's what changed really.
Yeah.
Knowing there's a fast forward button makes me like even more confident that I can catch up on some of this, honestly. That's great. I think we saw that in Doki Doki Literature Club Plus.
Yep.
Yeah.
And man, did I make good use of that to get every single different piece of dialogue I
Right.
possibly could.
You like that one?
I wouldn't do it today, but back when I was in mega completionist mode, it was something I did.
Yeah. I did think the part with Gala and what you have to do, I think that was one of the first.
That's like the most interactive piece as well. Because it to describe it without getting too spoilery, the game there's a moment in the game where you have to serve somebody a very specific drink, and in that moment your access to your like drink encyclopedia is restricted.
That's right.
And and so you have to make sure you know what that recipe is. And there's a lot of time that the game gives you to figure out what this recipe is and like to memorize it if possible. The game does forewarn you for that, but it's still that's the most interactive part of the game.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I did find that really fair that we did get so many chances to try it first and to learn ourselves. It's just the way I learned it, the game wasn't quite intelligent enough to know that I had used that third ingredient. It was claiming that I had not used it at all. And so that was a little strange, but it was still revealing that it was valid. Yeah. So that's what I needed. And I just think that was really compelling storytelling and like a moment where I very clearly understood, hey, what I'm doing matters because this drink has an in the moment effect here. This is great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like you, like at that point in the story, you know the consequences of getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Like I don't even remember what happens if you get it wrong. I think he just doesn't show up again.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. That's cool.
Was that it?
I don't know. I didn't do it.
I forget off the top of my head. I think I remember doing it, but yeah, a lot of the interactivity of the game is interesting because it's trying to do like a branching story paths, and it has like 10 characters and like kind of 4-5 different main threads that it kind of follows, and trying to like get some of them to tie together. There are certain points where, regardless of what happens, two people need to be in the room to talk about the thing. So the way that the game normally handles this is that if a character just doesn't show up to the store or their relationship is in such a way, the interaction just doesn't happen. Like they don't come to the store, an entire conversation doesn't happen. And that's like just knock-on effects of making drinks correctly or making drinks incorrectly over the course of the game. It's kind of opaque about how it actually delivers that, which for reasons that I can't get into because it's spoilers, I think is an incredible design decision.
Yeah.
But it's whatever.
Have you ever played Wanderstop? It came out 2025. It's a game about expectations and burnout, and you play as someone who's like a warrior who ends up at a tea shop.
I
in
do
the
not
forest.
think that I've played this.
Okay.
No. I've heard about it though.
I recommend it.
Okay.
In that game, so where I'm going with this is a game about making drinks, and they're based on very real ingredients. In Wanderstop, we had to make lots of brews of tea that were fantastical ingredients.
Yeah.
And so one fun topic for that featured game was, which of these fantastical ingredients do we find fun? Like, which would we like to play with in real life if they existed? But now we're playing a game where we actually can use real ingredients. We can use some of our real world knowledge to intuit what we're supposed to do in certain moments.
Like a character say, I want a really sweet drink with like a punch of spice. And then you're like, chocolate, ginger.
Exactly. I'm already starting to brew it in my mind before I put the ingredients in, which is great. So I guess after playing Coffee Talk, do you have any new takeaways about ingredients or making tea? Do we learn any real world things here, or does the game lift up or celebrate real world drink making in a way?
The game, I think it does lift up that kind of real world tea making to a degree. Although because the tea making is so simple, it's like you add 3 ingredients in. There's a couple that kind of irk me, where you have like a honey based drink, and so you put in like, I don't know, tea, milk, honey, or whatever. And then the unique drink that comes out has a honeycomb in it.
Right.
And I'm like, I didn't put a honeycomb in there. Why do you do that? You put a cinnamon stick in. I mean, the cinnamon stick makes more sense, but like,
Right.
I don't know.
It happened off screen.
It happened off screen. And it's like, but in the brew pad, in the actual like drink encyclopedia, there's like a lot of context for why this thing. Oh, like the STMJ, Officer Georgie's drink.
Yeah.
It's got an egg in there. There's no eggs.
Yeah,
That's right.
That was
thought that too.
was Hendry's drink.
That's Hendry's drink.
Hendry's
I
drink,
think Georgie does it as well, but it is Hendry's drink.
Yes,
You're right.
yeah.
It is Hendry's drink, and there's no egg in the game, and there's just where did the egg come from? I don't know.
Yeah. There's not a 4th ingredient.
Yeah,
slot,
that was a unique
But
drink in that sense.
But I do appreciate that the game like elevates these kind of unique and cultural drinks from around,
Yeah.
because it's both like highlighting Seattleite culture that's very like multicultural and very like has a lot of stuff going on, while also like having some favored classics that everybody knows and loves, and it's all good.
Yeah, Toge Productions is really good at doing that, because they did that with, what's the one game? Space for the Unbound, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In a lot of their games, they try to incorporate at least some amount of Indonesian culture. And in this case, I believe there's at least 2 drinks that are specialties from Indonesia. It might have just been one, but
Yeah.
Indonesia was mentioned,
Yeah.
you know, and that Toge Productions is really good at doing that.
And you're learning even just on the loading screens. I'm seeing a glimpse into some of these drinks, and a lot of them I've heard about. Some of them I've ordered, and I know, I'm probably going to get to make that, and it's going to show up in my encyclopedia in my app, and then it does.
And then you get to see what someone reacts to it. Yeah.
Yes, it's really cool. So I like that it's a little bit educational. It reinforces that knowledge. If you haven't had some of these drinks in a while, love that. I guess I take away that order matters too, like, you know, in some of these drinks. I guess that applies in real life. Like it wouldn't surprise me with
Like,
some of these things.
For me, yeah, when it comes to like order matters, I do kind of, when I sat down and thought about it, and I thought that the amounts were like irrelevant, I was still sitting at home. I'm like, okay, but when I get my coffee, I do put honey in first before I put in the cream, because the cream cools it.
Yep.
And the honey doesn't dissolve as fast.
Yep.
You're a
So
little barista at home.
I was like, I kind of get it, but like I could still like shake up my drink and still get the honey to dissolve, even if it's cooled down.
But this is you're making so many fancy drinks for people. You
Yeah.
think the barista is gonna just go?
I mean,
with stuff?
I would just be like, turn around and just like stir it real fast before I bring it back out. I'd be like, there you go. But anyways, that's, yeah. And I appreciate that Ginger's in here, because I've been trying to make
love gingers.
ginger work in so many different things outside of beverages, and I'm doing very poorly, but I'm trying to figure it out.
I just have a quick question. When I played this game, I felt compelled to name my character a name that wasn't my own. Did either of you feel this way?
No, I named it Disco.
I named it my name.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I didn't know what I was getting into, and that's just my default thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
What made you want to choose a different name?
I think it was because I was streaming, and it was like I wanted the audience to feel somewhat involved, because it's a visual novel. There's not going to be a lot of chance for interactivity. Most of the content is me like doing the voices and performing and like making little funny haha jokes when people do stuff. And I was like, you know what? Let's let the chat come up with something. And then someone suggested like Aubrey or something, and then I picked Aubrey,
Like
and then I kept it.
I will say
it's a cute little name.
The more I played this game, the more I regretted picking my own name, because it just didn't feel like me. Like I felt like I was taking on a character that, because in a lot of games where you pick your name, you're playing
You get dialect choices.
You're a silent protagonist, or you get lots of choices to tailor to your personality or what you're feeling in that moment.
Your choices are drinks, not comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
so
a great-
like when I started, I thought it was essentially just going to be the name of a save file. I didn't even think that I was
True,
going to be
yeah.
called
Name
out by
your
name.
barista.
Yeah. So that's why I picked
But you
this
end
up.
up like we've said, you end up having a very specific, like, true ending. You have specific things you say to characters. And often, I was like, hey, I'm proud that, quote unquote, I said that. But the more I saw my name there in the game, I started to like think, oh man, I don't feel like this is me,
Yeah.
So I just didn't know that. Couldn't know that. Did either of you do latte art?
I did a little bit.
Okay.
I think I might be misremembering. I know in the sequel, there's a couple characters that explicitly ask for latte art. I think in the first one as well, there's like
There's
a
a
character.
couple.
I think there
It's
is,
like,
yeah.
right. It's why can't I remember her name? The Negamimi.
Rachel.
Rachel.
Yeah.
I know that Bailey's asks for it.
Bailey's asked for it. Rachel's also like, I think a specific line is like, "Oh, can I have some pretty latte art, please?" I think that's when she shows up for the first time.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I did it mostly because I had to. I don't enjoy it.
It is weird. You like it. They did do a good job of trying to mimic how latte art works in real life, being that it's hard.
Right.
You do. I didn't really try it a lot when I played Coffee Talk 1. When I did Coffee Talk 2, I was a lot more interested in like, I want to get this right. I want to figure it out. It's a lot of like as you hold down the pour button, like the pour gets bigger and faster, and you have to like take advantage of that, and you like can speed up and slow down the way that you move stuff and make like fun patterns and swirl it through, and you can take the etching tool and like clean up edges and do stuff.
Yeah.
It tries to mimic real latte art, which means it's kind of a pain.
I tried it just a little bit too, and I just poured a bunch of milk in, and I liked just making like little wispy shapes with the
Yeah.
etching.
Yeah.
I found that fun.
That's about all I could do.
Yeah, that's all I could do.
effectively.
But like, what weird abstract shape can I make? Not like I'm going to make a flower. I couldn't do that. But I think you could if you spent enough time. And
Yeah.
there's actually an achievement for spending 1 hour.
There is
making latte art.
Yep,
So
got that one the other day.
You got that one?
Yeah.
Did you do it
I-
actively? Like,
No, I left the game on it while I was at Dairy Queen.
oh, you just. Wait, so you just have to be on there? You don't have to actively
No.
be?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just in case, like I put my controller down so that R1 was being pressed the whole time, but
So it was you were just pouring infinite like milk with
it wasn't even pouring. I was just turning the cup. That's all. I was just turning the cup.
I've gotten almost every achievement in the game. The only achievement that I'm missing is like there's a challenge mode where you need to serve so many drinks to customers in so much time.
Mhm.
But if you serve a correct drink, your time increases.
Yeah.
And I have gotten every achievement except for that one and the achievement for getting all the achievements.
Right.
Those are the only ones I'm missing, are because I haven't done challenge at all, and there's 3 different challenge mode ones.
Yeah, you have to get like so many perfect.
It's pretty
ones
fun.
or something.
It's pretty good.
I plan to do it, but, and this is just not related to Coffee Talk, I am like 2 platinums away from my 75th platinum.
Oh,
And I want it to be something special
Special,
because PSN trophies.
It
places
logs
that
it.
one.
That's a milestone platinum, so it'll list it on your profile forever. Yeah.
And so, like, no offense to Coffee Talk, but
you want a bigger name on there. I get you.
Yeah,
so
Coffee Talk too, right?
I have to be cautious about which platinums I get.
I'm actually in my mind. I'm trying to like decide if you're going to think that Coffee Talk 2 is an improvement or if you're going to hate it. I'm trying to.
I'm so curious now.
I'm really curious.
I like how you're saving your thoughts because I still don't quite have a grasp on like what you think, but I can tell what you think is very passionate.
I do know that it takes longer, and that part I'm dreading a little bit.
A little bit.
But
I don't know. We'll talk about it when we record next.
Yeah, we will talk about Coffee Talk episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly, the next episode.
hibiscus, another flavor I'm trying to incorporate into my cuisine elsewhere.
I actually, butterfly pea is an interesting material. I like it because the colors changes.
Is pretty.
Just as
Is
valid a
pretty.
reason as
Like,
many other things.
I like going to mana games. I like getting the tea that's got butterfly pea in it, and they give you the thing that makes it goof, and then you swirl
Those
around.
are so fun.
Turns from blue to purple, and I'm like, yay!
Yeah, I love those. Well, anything else to share about Coffee Talk 1 while we are here?
The Coffee Talk kind of like altered my brain chemistry forever.
Ooh, we have a list for that.
Yeah.
We call that when a game changes our DNA.
Yeah.
Wow.
Outer Wilds is on my
Outer
list.
Wilds is
Outer
on my
Wilds.
list.
Yeah, all 3 of us, yeah.
But anyways, as you were.
Coffee Talk 2 reorganize my brain a little bit. In part because like I did all the voices for the characters. I highly encourage if Disco, if you want to not dislike visual novels as much, try doing voices for the characters. You won't be good at it, but it will be fun.
Hey,
Maybe
Disco.
I will be good at it.
Disco.
Maybe
Maybe you will
I
be
just
good.
don't like
Hey,
it.
Disco, you're gonna suck at it, but you should just do it. Okay.
No, I'm saying like it's just fun because you like embody these characters a little bit. You're trying to like read what their personalities and their emotions are, and you're trying to like express them in that. And doing that for this game that has such strong characterization, I really was like, man, these are great characters. It also kind of like made me really, really, really want to like explore Seattle as a city. I realized playing the game that there's a lot of like love, and there's a lot of love for the city in this game. There's obvious problems, like things are happening in the city that are like not great, but it's still like the way that the game introduces Seattle. The game introduces you to the city before anything else.
It's very proud of its setting.
Yes, it's like a city of dreams, a city of like of ambition, a city of struggle and strife, and there's a lot of that in the game. I feel like more than anything, I mean maybe not more than anything, but just in the background is a story about the city of Seattle, and that just like rewired my brain. I went to Seattle for the first time in October of 25, and I saw the Space Needle and cried.
Wow.
Because at the beginning of every chapter, there's like the street right by the store, and there's just a prominent shot of the Space Needle, and I'm like, oh my god, that's the thing. That's the thing from the game that made me cry.
I've seen that.
I've seen that before. I don't know if I end up moving somewhere, I'd like it to be Seattle, because
Wow.
it's that game literally like it did that to my brain.
Wonder if we have any other Seattle games we could recommend. We'll have to think about that because we might have played one. But that's awesome. I love when a game is tied so passionately to a place.
Yeah.
And it's just felt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Toge Productions is known for that. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jenny, can you tell us one more time where to find your voice and Lavender Hill?
So yeah, if you wanna hear more of my rambunctious stuff, if you want to hear me get very angry at politicians, and also get talked over by Phil as he mutes my mic again because he keeps forgetting. I'm sure it's forgetting. I'm sure it's nothing more malicious. You can tune into Lavender Hill at 89.3 FM if you live in the Lincoln, Nebraska area at 11 a.m.s on Sundays. Or if you do not live in such an area, feel free to tune in on KZUM.org. Same time, 11 a.m. Central Time. If you want to hear me outside of KZUM, I am the community manager for an org called Progressive Victory. I regularly do interviews with politicians on the Progressive Victory YouTube channel once every week or every 2 weeks whenever we get stuff scheduled. Politicians are busy. I asked them a lot of funny questions generated by the Progressive Victory community. One of the more notable ones was how a politician in New York or New Jersey takes her cereal. Does she take it goopy or crunchy? To which she responded,
Not soggy, goopy.
goopy. That was the question.
That was
Yeah, that was the question.
Like it.
Does she take it goopy or crunchy? And her response was she microwaves the milk.
What?
She ended up winning her race.
So there might be something there.
So I did it on camera. I bought a microwave and I did a whole thing where I put the microwave on the table and then microwaved the milk on camera and tried it. And it wasn't very good, but I did give it a shot. She did win her race after all.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
So
I hope we do that in the sequel.
Let me bolster my political career right here and say that one time I tried Cocoa Puffs with water.
Oh, out of necessity.
I had no milk and I was 6.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
What's the
Awful.
6-year-old Disco's
Terrible.
verdict? Yeah,
I
bad.
didn't finish it.
Yep, bad. Yeah, that makes sense.
Should have microwaved it.
Yeah,
Warm
that's
water.
what I was missing.
Yeah, that's what, boiling water.
Yeah.
Cereal. Well, thank you, Jenny, for joining us. We are excited to have you back on the next episode.
I'm excited to be back, and I'm very, very interested because you guys have not played it. I'm very, very curious what you guys are going to think. And also, we have to talk about spoilers for Coffee Talk 1 and Coffee Talk 2. It'll have to be at the front.
Okay.
The game opens on how the true ending in Coffee Talk 1 ended.
Good to know.
That's an open door to, do that.
Yeah. So listener, just be aware of that. We might, I don't know how this episode will shake out spoiler wise. I don't know if we're going to include some of the stuff we talked about, or maybe we'll bleep stuff, cut stuff. I don't know.
5 minutes of just
I would stop doing the podcast. We are not allowed.
But just for your awareness, next episode, we might get a little bit more spoilery. And I think that makes sense for a sequel, maybe.
Yeah.
So that is our review of Coffee Talk. You can play it on PC, Mac, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and very soon, iOS and Android. Jenny rated it an 8.5. DiscoCola rated it an 8. I rated it a 7. That's the end of this episode of Underplayed. You can find more of our episodes at kzum.org/underplayed and on common podcast platforms. Our music was composed by Jack Rodenberg. Our art comes from Onimochi. Check out our show notes where you can find and follow us across social media. Underplayed is on Bluesky, Instagram, and Threads. You can also find my links down below, and I stream a variety of indie games on Twitch.
And you can find me on any of those platforms that you can access with a browser. And I have a backlogged list of games where we F up the moon. And while we don't F up the moon in Enjoy the Diner, maybe it could still enjoy a spot there.
Next time, we'll have 2 more secret games to review. We'll have the return of Jenny as our guest.
The return of the Jenny. I come back. I haunt your podcast walls once again.
Jenny is emerging from below the table like a little troll
Like an
or something.
Atlantean? I don't know.
That's rude.
Wow.
That's a stereotype.
What did the Atlanteans ever do to you?
No,
Just because there was endless war between Atlanteans and the surface dwellers does not mean you can say that.
I guess you got me. You got me. I apologize for what I said, and I will
cancel DiscoCola on twitter.gov.x.uk.
And our featured game will be Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly, a visual novel developed by Toge Productions. Until then, everyone, go bonk 'em.